Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a truly fascinating journey, one that takes us deep inside the human body to explore how a tiny, seemingly insignificant gut bacterium is entirely rewriting the rules of cancer immunotherapy. We're going to look at some groundbreaking clinical research that connects what you put on your dinner plate directly to how your immune system fights off tumors. It's a story of microscopic warfare, unexpected allies, and the incredible power of the food we eat on a daily basis. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by unpacking the immunotherapy mystery, meet our star microbe Akkermansia muciniphila, and uncover exactly how it fights cancer. From there, we'll shift gears into how you can literally feed your immune system, the amazing power of polyphenols, and finally, using diet as a targeted clinical tool. Starting off with Section 1, the immunotherapy mystery. Why do these treatments work for some, but not all? Over the last decade, immunotherapy drugs, like anti-PD-1 therapy, have completely revolutionized oncology. They basically take the brakes off your own immune system so it can go after the cancer. And honestly, it's brilliant. But here's the billion-dollar question in medicine right now. Why do these revolutionary treatments work like an absolute miracle for some patients, completely clearing their disease, while for others they do absolutely nothing? What is that hidden variable dictating success or failure? Well, the key differentiator is increasingly pointing to a pretty unexpected ally. Patients who respond well to immunotherapy tend to have a highly diverse gut microbiome, packed with very specific commensal bacteria. On the flip side, the non-responders have much lower diversity, and they're completely missing these key microscopic players. So the trillions of microorganisms living in our gastrointestinal tract aren't just there digesting our lunch, they're actively orchestrating our immune response. Let's move into Section 2 and actually meet our microscopic protagonist, Akkermansia muciniphila. Out of the trillions of bacteria hanging out in our gut, Akkermansia muciniphila has really emerged as a premier next-generation probiotic candidate in the fight against cancer. By definition, it's a gram-negative, strictly anaerobic, mucin-degrading bacterium that resides right there in your intestinal mucus layer. It actually serves as a critical biomarker of your gut barrier's integrity. But here's the most astounding part. Clinical studies have shown that a baseline enrichment of this exact bacterium strongly correlates with prolonged survival in patients with certain cancers, like non-small cell lung cancer and renal cell carcinoma, who are undergoing immunotherapy. So the crucial point is, how does it actually pull this off? Well, Akkermansia literally lives in the mucus lining of your gut. It degrades that mucin to generate these powerful compounds called short-chain fatty acids. This process, in turn, signals your body's goblet cells to secrete even more mucus, which essentially builds a stronger, thicker fortress wall. So this bacterium acts as a microscopic hero, constantly reinforcing your intestinal barrier against harmful microbes while keeping your immune system perfectly balanced. That brings us to Section 3, how Akkermansia fights cancer. This is biochemical warfare at the microscopic level. Let's break down the exact molecular mechanisms this bacterium uses to fight tumors. Because this isn't just about general gut health. This is highly specific, targeted biochemical warfare. First, Akkermansia produces a specific metabolite called inosine. Now, normally, your gut barrier keeps this locked safely inside the intestine. But when a patient receives immunotherapy, that barrier is temporarily lowered, letting the inosine slip right into the bloodstream. It then travels all the way to the distant tumor site, where it binds directly to what are called A2A receptors on your cancer-killing T cells. Usually, binding to this receptor turns the T cell off. But when you pair it with the inflammation from the immunotherapy drug, the signal flips. The T cells become supercharged and aggressively attack the tumor. And this brilliantly illustrates how this microbe essentially reprograms the tumor's immediate surroundings. In models of gastric cancer, as well as highly resistant colorectal cancers, Akkermansia physically drives more CD8-positive T cells, which are basically the assassins of the immune system, straight into the tumor. At the exact same time, it stops immunosuppressive macrophages from cleaning up dead cells, a process called efferocytosis, which is a trick tumors use to hide, so it completely strips the tumor of its defenses. And the results are just undeniable. In a groundbreaking 2026 study published in Toxicology and Applied Pharmacology, researchers looked at gastric cancer in mouse models. When standard anti-PD-1 therapy was combined with an oral dose of Akkermansia muciniphila, the tumor volume was significantly inhibited compared to just using the therapy alone. The bacteria literally force the tumor cells into apoptosis, or program cell death. Moving right along to Section 4, feeding the immune system and turning food into immunological fuel. We know this bacterium is an absolute powerhouse, but how do we get more of it? The answer shifts us from microscopic mechanisms to the macro level, the choices we make every single day with our diet. Prepare yourself for a major plot twist here. A study published in Science looking at patients with advanced melanoma found something staggering. For every additional 5 grams of dietary fiber a patient consumed daily, their likelihood of immunotherapy success increased by approximately 30%. 30%! Just from a modest daily increase in dietary fiber. No way, right? But keep in mind, not all fiber is created equal. To know exactly what to put in your grocery cart, we need to look at specific types. First up, we have inulin and FOS, found in chicory root, garlic, and onions. These are rapidly fermented and selectively stimulate beneficial bugs that produce high levels of butyrate, which really ramps up your immune response. Then there's resistant starch, found in things like green, unripe bananas and potatoes that have been cooked and then cooled. This starch survives all the way to your lower colon, protecting it from inflammation. Finally, pectins and beta-glucans from apples and oats literally synergize with cancer drugs to increase the amount of T cells infiltrating a tumor. By eating these, you are quite literally feeding your internal army. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds with the power of polyphenols. So fiber isn't the only player in this game. Polyphenols have incredible prebiotic-like activity that specifically targets our hero bacterium. Let's trace the fascinating journey of a pomegranate together. You ingest complex compounds called allagitannins from pomegranate juice or cranberries. Your stomach actually can't digest them, so they arrive fully intact in your colon. And waiting right there is Akkermansia, which breaks them down. Other gut bacteria then step in to transform these broken pieces into a highly bioactive compound called urolithin A. Urolithin A enters your bloodstream and triggers mitophagy, meaning it actively clears out dead, dysfunctional mitochondria in your T cells. It essentially prevents your cancer-killing immune cells from getting exhausted and burning out. What is just so amazing about this is that up to 95% of the polyphenols we eat from foods like red grapes, blueberries, and pomegranates pass entirely unabsorbed by our own bodies. They are delivered directly to the large intestine. There, they act as powerful scavengers for reactive oxygen species, basically vacuuming up any oxygen in the gut lumen. This creates the perfect, strictly oxygen-free environment that beneficial anaerobes like Akkermansia absolutely require to survive and multiply. You are basically terraforming your gut for the good guys. And finally, Section 6, Diet as a Clinical Tool, a Holistic Vision for Oncology. These scientific discoveries are fundamentally changing the approach to personalized cancer treatment in modern oncology. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I'll just pop a probiotic pill and I'm good to go. Actually, scratch that. The data suggests otherwise. Studies, including that melanoma trial we talked about earlier, have shown that relying solely on over-the-counter commercial probiotics actually correlated with poorer clinical outcomes in some cases. Real dietary fiber and complex phytochemicals from whole natural foods are a far more effective and physiologically sound strategy for enhancing your microbiome than just popping a generic pill. Now, what's really interesting about this is the massive paradigm shift it represents in medicine. As the Williams Cancer Institute puts it, the gut becomes a key immunological organ and diet a therapeutic modulator. Nutrition is no longer viewed as just a complementary feel-good afterthought. It is a direct, active, and necessary participant in how our bodies respond to the most advanced medical therapies available today. We've seen the data, we've met the microbes, and we've traced the pathways. Your gut is a battlefield, and the foods you eat are the supply lines. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question. How will you feed your internal microscopic army today to build a healthier tomorrow? Because the power, quite literally, is on your plate. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep feeding your curiosity and your microbiome.